Hey students, here to share some more on spiritual disciplines. And one of the important spiritual disciplines in my life has been the discipline of secrecy. It's not a discipline I really learned about growing up, but as I've read and I've struggled for really what my motives are, secrecy's been something that's allowed me to really decide if I'm doing something for God or if I'm doing something for the approval of man. It's really about living for an audience of one. You know, there's this parable in the Gospels that Jesus tells about the Pharisee and the tax collector, and they're both saying prayers in the temple, and one stands up and says, God, I thank you that I'm not like this tax collector, this sinner. And then there's the tax collector who beats his breast, and he says, God, have mercy on me, I'm a sinner. There's a huge difference between those two ways of life. Here's the righteous guy who's thanking God he's not like something, and here's the unrighteous guy that couldn't care less about anyone else but his own sin. And I think that's kind of what this practice is all about of secrecy, is realizing that who are we doing this for? Is it about doing it for God, or is it about doing it for reward ourselves? In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus, he talks about the importance of practicing secrecy. You know, here are these people that are fasting, they're giving alms, they're praying, and they're putting on sackcloth and ashes, and they're making their voices loud so that everyone around them can hear it. But Jesus says, look, if you do that, you get your reward. And others give you that reward. There's nothing that God's going to give you in return, but if you do it for the sake of God, if you do it in quiet, if you pray in your closet, then He's faithful to give reward for what you've done because it honors Him and not anyone else. I've got this buddy who was an intern at a church in Texas, and one night they decided they were going to do random acts of kindness in the name of Jesus. And so they spread out all their money. They each pitched in $10. They were going to have a pizza party after to share what God had done through them. And so my buddy, he was the intern, and he decided that he was going to go spend a few dollars at the grocery store as he picked up drinks for the party afterward. So he comes on over and goes to the grocery store. He picks up drinks. He goes to the checkout counter, and he gives a few dollars to the lady at the checkout counter. And she says, you know, what's all this money for? He said, well, I'd like you to pass this on to the next person who comes through, and I'd like for you to let them know that this was bought for them in the name of Jesus. So he walks out, and right as he's about to go out in the parking lot, he looks back and notices the people who are coming up to receive this secret gift that he'd given. And when he looks back, he notices they're buying beer. He can honestly say he bought beer for them in the name of Jesus. And this lady who was asked to give him this money, she looks and she says, well, I'm supposed to report that this was bought for you in the name of Jesus. So we never really know what's going to happen with our secrecy. We never really know who's going to receive our gift. But the important thing is that God receives the praise, that He receives our motives, and it's not about praise from anyone else, but there's an audience of one who receives the disciplines we do. So what are you going to do this week? How are you going to live out that secrecy? How are you going to do things for people that they have no idea who did it for them? But it's a blessing that God places in their lap because you were the hands and feet of Jesus. That's my challenge to you, that you would live out your lives in secrecy, doing good things for the sake of the kingdom.